Hey you guys, Julie Hollis here for Saburrtooth Tools. I'm at Fall Creek Gallery in beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana, and I make sawdust. One of my most favorite ways to make sawdust is with Saburrtooth Tools. And today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing some safety demonstrations on how to properly use your 4-inch grinding wheels with the Saburrtooth attachments so that you can have effective carving while still keeping all your hands, fingers, toes, and everything in between. So, without much ado, let's get on with it. First things first, within the grinding wheels that come with Saburrtooth, we use them a lot here at Fall Creek Gallery. Actually, we use them almost every day. One of the main reasons why is we used the traditional sandpaper ones for quite a while, and these last all of 10 minutes at the most. And when we use a Saburrtooth one, they last a few years. So cost-wise, they last a lot longer. But since these are more aggressive, you have to have a few more safety precautions when you use them. Now, the first thing is knowing the grits. When you first use the wheels, they come in a few different ways. They come flat, they come rounded, they come with holes, they come without holes, but they come in 4 different coarse grits. The coarse grits they come in are fine, they also come in medium, they come in coarse, and they come in extra coarse. Now each one of these will do a different task and can take off different types of wood at a different rate of speed. With our wood here at Fall Creek Gallery, we use all hardwood. So these are actually a wonderful application because these babies are pretty hard. And so you can do a lot of shaping, you can do a lot of detailing with these grinding pads, which is wonderful. Now when we're using them, we have the basic things. 1, always wear eye protection. If you don't use eye protection, you will get sawdust and wood chips in your eyes and you can damage them. Never a good idea. Also, when you're using your eye protection, make sure you're not fogging up. If you're fogging up, you're carving blind, which is a bad idea. The next thing you want to do is make sure you have on a mask. Now, my mask, this is one I found online. It's made by this said company. And with it, these last a long time. They're washable, and you don't have anything coming in your mouth. Another thing you want to make sure you do, especially with these grinders, is have something in your ears. I usually use earplugs. Some people use headphones. And that can help protect your hearing as well, because we want to be able to not just carve, but also live life afterwards. Now, the next thing is some people use gloves. I personally don't use gloves when carving with a 4-inch grinder. The main reason is I cannot actually stabilize my hands. It becomes more awkward with my hands, which makes it less stable. So I don't use gloves. If you do use gloves, please use very, very tight fitting gloves when you carve, because you don't want to slip with your hands. The next thing is with your grinders, always use the guards. No matter how tempting, do not take the guards off when you're using a Saburrtooth 4-inch grinding wheel. This, although it can also cut wood, it can also cut hands. So I like having this between the grinding wheel and my hand. Another key element on these is always use 2 hands when grinding. The 2-hand method helps so that if it may be tempting to use 1 hand, but that is how they get away from you. These babies can jump, they can run, skip, and they're very sharp when they do. So, 2 hands on the wheel as you're grinding on your statues or other wood products. Now, the next thing is when you first start off, you have to know that the difference. Okay, another very, very important tip. One is when you are using the grinding wheel, do not physically set down the grinding wheel until it has completely stopped the revolution. Usually the tendency is to turn off the grinding wheel and set it down. Well, it's still spinning, so whatever is spinning near it can get caught up in it. So make sure, take that extra 15 seconds, let it finish spinning, then set down your tool to go on to the next tool. All right, one of the biggest places that I can see when this gets a little bit unruly is what I call catching an edge. And if you've ever used a grinder, whether it's a sandpaper one or a carbide bit one, the catching an edge is a very real thing. And what that means is when you're going along one of these edges, it can pick up momentum and spin. So always remember, if you're near the edge, grab on either extra tight or use a 2-inch grinder in there. Don't take any 4-inch grinder along the edge because just not safe. All right, more fun tips. Another tip is, this is a beautiful device. What it is, upside down, is a variable speed adjuster. This one, I believe, paid about $10 for at this said location. What this does is it will actually take your grinder, you can plug it into here, and you can lower the RPMs of whatever you're doing. So if it's going a little too fast, or if you need to slow it down just a little bit, you can put in your variable speed adjuster, otherwise known as a potentiometer, and you can actually slow down the speed of whatever you are carving. Definitely helps. Okay, next few tips. One is when you first start off with using an angle grinder with a Saburrtooth grinding wheel. They are very different from these in that they take a lot more force and they take a lot more strength. So you want to get your guns out when you're off grinding with these. Now, if you've never carved with one, make sure that you start off with the fine grit. The fine grit is a wonderful place to start, and sometimes people will move up in these so that they can progress to a more aggressive type of carving wheel. If you first start off one of these, they can get away with you if you're not used to how much force and strength they take to use them with. The other thing, I'm just going to keep giving you other things, is when they get dirty. When they get dirty, got to clean them. If not, they can skip around as well. So these can be cleaned by 3 different applications that I'm aware of. One is soaking them in water overnight, brush off with a brush. Next is you can actually apply heat to them. Some people use a propane torch, and then you take a brush to take them off. Third application is people clean them by soaking them in a solvent like Simple Green, and you can leave them in overnight, come out clean. Typically when you do as well, you have to repaint them because it also takes off the paint job. The next thing you want to make sure is that you do not have anything hanging down in the path of a grinder as you're grinding, which is why I always have this wonderful little ponytail going on. If you have anything hanging off your face, whether it's a nice long beard or it's hair that goes halfway down your back, please pull it back because it will get caught in these wheels and it will not be good. Not good. Also, if you're wearing loose clothing, whether it's a scarf, because I know a lot of us carve in the winter time, whether it is a hoodie with the strings, tuck them in, don't wear them. You do not want anything hanging that can catch into these wheels, or it will be bad. Now, the next thing, which goes without saying, is these should never be used under any type of influence. It doesn't matter whether it's a liquid beverage influence, it's some other mind-altering influence, whether it's prescription or otherwise. please don't carve with those, because you really need your full focus when carving on your wood while using a 4-inch grinder. And let's see, I think one of the last things, you don't see it very much here at the gallery because we usually carve 6-foot statues, 4 to 6 foot statues. So ours are typically a very stationary piece of wood. But if you're using one of these grinders on a smaller piece of wood, which I know a lot of you guys do, please make sure it is very secure. Stability is very good to have when using these, because if you're carving and your wood is moving with you, it's not safe. And we just want you to be safe. Being safe while carving will make you be able to carve a whole lot more. And it's also enjoyable. Now, sorry, I just keep coming up with more of these little tidbits. The first time I got one of these carving wheels, it sort of scared me, to be quite honest. And the reason why was I did not properly put the carving wheel onto the grinder. So when you're putting on your carving wheels, make sure that you have the right bolts and the right nuts to secure them. And sometimes you can try a couple different ones. It needs to be super tight. If it's not super tight, when you turn it on, it will wobble and shake horribly. If it's wobbling and shaking horribly, it is not properly installed. So you need to make sure you have a very snug fit. Make sure that it's nice and tight. And when you do, it's actually a lot of fun to carve with, because you can do so much with these, which is nice. Here at the gallery, we usually start with the chainsaws as we block out the statues. Beyond that, all of our details are done with mostly all Saburrtooth tools. And we do a lot of details in the statues. So have fun carving, please be safe, and have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. We are always more than happy to help you with any questions about any of the products, because safety is first, and also the joy and love of carving. We'll see you next week, next time on Tuesday's Tool.